When we talk about contenders in the NBA this season, one of those teams we have to mention is the Houston Rockets. Right now, the Houston Rockets are 11-4, putting them at 4th place in the Western Conference. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games, and their 4 losses this season came at the hands of the 17-1 Thunder, the 15-2 Pistons, the 11-5 Spurs, and the 13-4 Nuggets. So all great opponents they've dropped games to so far. And one thing I really like about this Rockets team this season is they passed the numbers test, but they also passed the visual test for me. Quick intermission, this video is going to be uploaded tomorrow on Thanksgiving, so I hope you guys are all enjoying your holiday, spending time with family, enjoying some turkey. So I just want to say thank you for tuning in and talking some hoops with me today. Losing Fred VanVleet this offseason to a torn ACL really gave me concern as to whether this team was a legitimate contender or not. I had concerns whether Reed Shepherd, who I expected to be propelled into the starting point guard role, was battle tested enough in the NBA to lead at the point guard position for the Rockets this season. However, the Rockets beat me to those concerns, instead deciding to start the season running a lineup with essentially 4 players that are 6'11", with a 6'7" Alperen Thompson running the point guard for them. Now, since the start of the season, this lineup has been tinkered with a little bit, with the Rockets sliding Josh Okogie into the starting lineup in exchange for Steven Adams, who moved to the bench, really offering a true 5-out offense, with the exception of Alperen Thompson, who has struggled from 3 so far this year. Now, this original gigantic lineup has to be the tallest aggregated lineup to start a season in NBA history. The only lineup I can think of that compares is what the Nuggets did in the bubble when they had like 4 centers and a power forward starting the game with Jokic at point guard. That lineup was absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, the Rockets have really defied a lot of the odds since the absence of Fred VanVleet. And I think the situation has only led to further development in Alperen Thompson. Now, Alperen Thompson has to be one of, if not the most athletic player in the NBA. He's extremely springy off the ground, and he really utilizes his athleticism to get high efficiency shots around the rim. He has so much energy when he plays basketball, and it really seems like even when he plays 40 minutes a night, he never gets tired on the court. He shows shades of being undisciplined. He gets into foul trouble a decent amount, but I think all of this is going to work out over time. He's going to get better as a defender. Like I said, he is so young that he's going to continue to develop as a player, and I'm really excited to see how he looks moving forward. The only thing really keeping him from damn near being a top 10 player in the NBA is a lack of a 3-point jump shot from him. He started off the season shooting a lot more 3-pointers. Clearly, Ime Udoka trying to get him going, especially with him moving to the 1. But his attempts have really fallen back as of late. I know anybody who follows the NBA has probably heard this a million times, but Alperen Thompson with a jump shot is something I don't think anybody else in the league wants to see. Legitimately, if this dude could go a season shooting between 32-35% from 3, I think he'd be one of the scariest players to guard against in the NBA. Alperen definitely has the tools to be a 25 points per game, triple-double per night type of player. He doesn't really show a lot of weaknesses besides his jump shot. I think he's improved a lot this season as a playmaker. Obviously, being propelled into that point guard position is just naturally going to make you more ball dominant. Alperen is currently averaging 18 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 5 assists per night. So he's already filling up the stat sheet at only 22 years old. I'm just really excited to see how he looks moving forward. And I think he is a crucial piece of this Rockets organization as a whole. If they can keep their hands on him for a while, I think they're going to be a good team for a long time. But then we have to talk about Alperen Sengun, who has debatably been the best player on this Rockets team so far this year. Sengun is posting 22 points per game, adding almost 10 rebounds and 7 assists per night, shooting around 50% from the field. His biggest leap this year has been his 3-point shooting. Sengun is making his threes at a 44% clip, a 21% increase from his 3-point percentage last season. He's not a high volume 3-point shooter yet, but I think this leap in 3-point shooting has really made him a threat and forces defenses to come out and guard him at the 3-point line. I really think this is Sengun's coming out season. I think he's the second best playmaking big man in the league behind Nikola Jokic. I really like watching Sengun's game because it's so awkward, it's so quirky, but he really has become a top big man in today's game. I like the confidence he plays with, and we're seeing a lot of different variations with their offense. A lot of times we are seeing Sengun dribble the ball down as a point guard for this team. He's also not scared to take big shots at the end of the game. I think his confidence remains pretty steady down the stretch. He's been relatively good for them at the end of close games this season, and that aggression that he brings just doesn't really let up. I think he's just a gamer. He loves being competitive. I think he loves the game of basketball, and like, you obviously don't see that in a lot of guys. And I think Sengun really sets himself apart with that aggression and that consistency throughout a 48-minute game. And then the other best player for this team, obviously, is Kevin Durant. Now look, KD is KD, and that's never really changed too much throughout his entire career. Even last year when the Suns really struggled down the stretch, it was a given that KD was going to produce. He produces efficient stat lines. He's one of the best scorers to ever play the game. He holds his own defensively, especially later in his career. He's kind of really honed in more on his defense and just overall the impact he makes on the game. Obviously, Kevin Durant is a legend in the NBA. He really plays that complementary scoring role well for the Rockets. I think he plays with a lot of patience offensively. He lets shots come to him. He takes high efficiency shots, which is obviously a lot easier for a 6'11" frame, especially for a guy who's as smooth and as talented of a scorer as Kevin Durant. It kind of makes the game a lot easier. And that kind of all just plays into his impact that he makes as a player. But the Rockets are definitely at their best when KD is generating looks through the offense. He's averaging almost 25 points per game this year on 49, 36, 88 shooting splits. And while the efficiency has dipped a little bit from last season, I still personally want KD leading the charge offensively, taking important shots, just really all of the things he's done well his entire career. He is 37 years old, so he's getting older. But a lot of these facets of his game, you just don't lose with age. So Kevin Durant obviously has been a huge addition for the Rockets this season, but I think a lot of people overlook how deep this roster actually is. I look at guys like Reed Sheppard, Tari Eason, Clint Capella, Steven Adams now coming off the bench, and I have to bring up Dorian Finney-Smith, who has yet to play a game this season, but signed with the Rockets over the offseason. I really like this bench, and I think that depth is going to be a huge factor for them being resilient throughout the longer stretches of this year. And like I've said in videos prior, this is a competitive Western Conference, specifically in that top 1 through 6 range in seeding-wise. There's an opportunity any night for a team to give you their best shot. And I think this bench depth at Houston is really big for them, like I said, for being successful throughout the season. Reed Sheppard has played that 6-man role for the Rockets this season, and after a slow start shooting the ball this year, he's gotten back into his groove. Reed is a super talented player. He was taken 3rd overall in the 2024 NBA draft, and he's finally getting consistent rotational minutes with Fred VanVleet out for the rest of the season. I think there was definitely an adjustment to him finding his role to start this season because the offense does change to more of a traditional point guard lineup with him in the game, although sometimes he will kind of play that shooting guard role for them. But Reed Sheppard shooting 47% from 3 this season. He is a knockdown shooter. There's a reason he was taken 3rd overall in the draft. I think once he finally becomes a starting point guard in the NBA, I think he has some all-stars in his future. I really like the IQ, the intensity that Reed plays with. I think he takes it personally on defense that, you know, a lot of people would overlook him and call him a liability on defense, but he can be a little scrappy. Obviously, mismatches are extremely difficult when he gets matched up against somebody 6'8" and above, but he really does hold his own on defense, and he's not just an offensive-minded player only. Really, I think a big story for this team in general this year, past just that energetic defense they bring, is their extremely efficient three-point shooting this season. Like I said, Reed Sheppard is shooting 47% from deep, Jabari Smith Jr., 39%, Josh Okogie, 41%, Alperen Sengun, 44%, and Tari Eason shooting 51% from 3 this season. Tari Eason, someone who I think is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. He's had an extremely efficient start to the year shooting the ball and is probably the 2nd best defender on this team behind Thompson. I'm a huge fan of Tari Eason. He's a guy who really plays his role well and finds shots through the offense. He's the exact 3-and-D guy that every team in the NBA is looking for. So he has been huge off the bench for them this year. And when looking at this Rockets team, they're one of probably 5 or 6 teams that have a legitimate shot of coming out of the West this season. Obviously, OKC at the top, but then you have the Nuggets, Lakers, Spurs, and I'll go ahead and throw the Timberwolves in there as well. Now, I think they have all the tools as a team to win in the playoffs. They have the number 4 ranked offense and the number 3 ranked team defense in the NBA. I don't really see a lot of gaps in this team, but if it were going to come down to something, I think the absence of Fred VanVleet's going to hurt them the most. If teams try to go small on them or run quick lineups against them, I could see some potential matchup issues in the playoffs specifically. But I really like a lot of what I see from Ime Udoka when it comes to his game planning. He doesn't really just stick to one game plan. It seems like they will run their tall lineups, but they'll also go small for parts throughout the game, and I think that understanding that, like, yeah, we're gonna have to adjust against teams when it comes to the playoff time. Like, teams are gonna be built to beat us. So I like that they don't just stick to one game plan. I think Ime Udoka is a great coach. He's been a good coach since he took over for the Celtics. Interesting fact about the Rockets, they shoot less threes than any other team in the NBA at just 33 pointers attempted per game. And I really don't know if this is alarming or not, because with current trends and good teams leaning more towards shooting threes, it is interesting to see that the team that shoots the least amount of threes in the NBA is also the number 4 ranked offense in the NBA. So clearly something is brewing in Houston, and I am buying this team all in. Barring injuries, if they do get injured, obviously some things could shake, but I think a fully healthy Rockets lineup is a scary team to play, especially come playoff time. I think this is a well-experienced roster. They really just don't have many holes throughout their team. They've been very solid to start the season this year. They've had competitive losses. So anyways, that's all I really had to say about the Rockets so far this season. How do you guys feel about the Rockets? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at peace.hoops, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace.